welcome to another episode of L&D Snippets. As you know, L&D Snippets is a series of micro-learning video-based lessons primarily meant for L&D professionals like you. In every episode, we pick up one topic and we discuss that at length. And these topics are primarily related to learning. In the last episode, we talked about how our brain learns. In this episode, let's talk about how our brain forgets. Isn't that interesting? While we have something called learning curve, we also have something called a forgetting curve. I'm going to share with you some very, very interesting statistics. Though they're interesting, they're also quite alarming. And I'm sure this will get you worried as you listen to the statistics I'm just going to present before you. When we attend a classroom session, within an hour, we forget about 50% of what we've learned in the classroom. Within 1 hour, 50% is gone. In about 24 hours, we forget about 70% of what we have learned in the classroom. And within a week's time, we pretty much forget everything. Almost 90% of what you've learned in the classroom is gone. So these are research findings. But isn't it alarming? Isn't it scary? Now the question to contemplate is, why is that there's so much money going into training? Why are corporations spending billions of dollars on training their people? Corporations cumulatively spend about $70 billion every year on their employees' training and development. On an average, most organizations spend anywhere between $1,000 to $1,800 per employee per year on training. But what's the hell going on out there? Why are organizations spending so much of money when employees forget about 90% of what they learn in the classroom? Well, before we talk about if we can reverse this trend, or before we talk about how we can reverse this trend, it's important that we know why the brain forgets. Why we forget 90% of the things that we learn in the classroom. Well, there are a few reasons why we forget. One possible reason is lack of application of what we learn in the classroom. If we don't apply what we learn in the classroom, we are going to forget. If you're going to a swimming class for a few days, but after your coaching sessions, if you don't get to the swimming pool ever again, if you don't get to practice what you've learned in the swimming coaching sessions, do you think you will remember what you learned in the classroom? You're going to forget the techniques of swimming. This is bound to happen. Another reason why people forget if the content is boring or dull. If the content that the trainer is presenting is not interesting or engaging, people are going to forget. Another possible reason is clutter of information. If there is an overload of information in a short span of a training session, the brain really cannot capture, process, and retain an overload of information. Another reason is negative thinking. If the learners believe, if a particular learner or individual believes that he is not good at learning, if he believes that he cannot remember, if he believes that he cannot master the subject, he is actually not going to be able to remember. He's actually going to forget. He will actually end up not mastering the subject. Another reason is interference. So sometimes what happens? A new information actually interferes in retaining old information. So since our brain keeps learning all the time, when we acquire new information and then kind of store them in our memory, it erases some of our old information, old memory. So that's what interference is all about. Another possible reason is the WIEM. What is in it for me? If in the classroom the trainer cannot establish the WIEM, if the trainer cannot establish why is the content important for the learners are not going to pay attention, Thereby, they would forget what the teacher or the trainer has imparted in the classroom. So these are various reasons why we forget, why our brain forgets. So do you believe that we can reverse this trend? Don't you think it's going to be exciting if we can really reverse this trend? As research findings say that we forget 90% of what we learn in the classroom, can we as learning practitioners, L&D professionals, do something differently so that people, instead of forgetting 90% of what they've learned in the classroom, they retain 90% of what they have learned in the classroom? Yes, of course we can do it. And we will talk about it in the next episode of L&D Snippets. And if you want to keep getting our L&D Snippets video lessons, please do subscribe to this channel and you will get notification every time a new video is uploaded. Keep learning, keep sharing, keep making a difference to this world. After all, you're there to make a difference, to touch lives, to ignite minds. Keep doing that. Thank you very much. All the best.